Hey everyone, good evening. Are we live? Oh, yes, we are live. Awesome. Good evening to this lovely Sunday edition of Heart to Heart with Ethel Da Costa. It's been very hot. I think we all understand that the weather, my cab driver yesterday when I was, going out on a media event. We were discussing the weather, and I was asking him, why is it so suddenly so hot? And he said, ma'am, this weather is great for our durian because it's what the durian wants, to kind of to ripen up and to bring in all its little kind of summer flavors into it, and and that is why the universe or nature facilitates it by bringing on the heat, so to say. He also asked me if I had had my first taste of the durian, and I humbly told him no, because I'm just too afraid, to try out the durian because of the overwhelming flavor that the durian has. And he encouraged me, saying that no, you must try it because that is the essence of what Malaysia is all about, which I completely agree with. So I hope to have the courage before this year ends to try the durian. So if it supports the flavor of the fruit, then okay, bring on the heat, I should say, to Mother Nature. And while we toast up in heat and sweat, we should understand that the universe and nature knows best to kind of support what she is building up. Correct. So it is hot, I understand. So we just bear it for the greater good of Malaysia's durian. But anyway, grab on your tea, grab on your coffee or your beer or your wine, whichever sets the mood for this edition of Heart to Heart. I have such a special guest with me today, and I'm so honored that he made time for me. Because to kind of he's such a busy gentleman, but when I reached out to him, he said, yes, let's just do this. And I know that in all in the weekend that we have been kind of prepping ourselves and talking about the great and honorable work that my guest John Ang is doing, curating the great treasure of Malaysia's textiles and costumes and fabrics. It's a treasure trove from what I've seen of his work, to be doing such an honorable job of putting it all together for the future, creating this huge legacy for Malaysia, and putting it out there to inspire everyone, to what we call it, as soul work, and I believe that is what the purpose is. And you never know which individual, whether it's in Malaysia or rest of the world, that he could be inspiring and supporting. So let me just bring him online. In the meantime, a big, huge shout out to my partner associate, the Mac Clinic, for being part of my Heart to Heart journey, season 2 for 2022. Heart to Heart is not possible without the partnerships that it believes in. And for that, I'm very, very grateful to Dr. Hugh Yin Kit, Medical Director of the Mac Clinic, Malaysia's premier aesthetic institution, which has been creating, beauty with purpose for the last 20 years. So without any more kind of, distraction, let me just bring my guest online, who is here with me off stage. Hang on. Here we are. And good evening. Good evening, John.
Hi, good evening.
Awesome to have you on Heart to Heart.
Welcome to my gallery.
Welcome to my life and the Heart to Heart platform. Honestly, this is a huge honor for me to have you with us. Really good.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, no, thank you for making your time for this for my platform. I'm deeply committed, to storytelling, and from what I know of your life, we have a similar pattern. You've been, from whatever that I've spoken and whatever I've read of your profile, you've also had a similar kind of journey to where we kind of, I think that where our twain meets, if I could use that famous, Mark Twain kind of, quote. So my audience understands where you come from because I've also put out the profile. Um, uh, we have few mutual friends who also kind of understand and know our mutual backgrounds. But for my audiences who are watching the show, who will watch the show later on too as it moves into different media platforms, that I create, tell us about your life, your inspiring career as an art journalist for the Japan Times, and how did this experience influence your journey to establish an art gallery in Taipei, Taiwan?
Okay, it's quite interesting because when I was in Japan as a student,
Hmm.
I um, I would go to galleries to look at art. I would go to
Okay.
the Tokyo National Museum every day, and I taught English there, and I studied
Hmm.
Japanese. And my morning routine was to go to museums, and then after I had my afternoon tea, and then I go and teach in the night. So I came upon a beautiful painting exhibition at a department store. It was exhibition of Chi Shi, who was a very famous artist, Chinese artist.
Okay.
I was kind of taken aback by the fact that the department store would spend so much money on on such a professionally mounted show, and the show had some masterpieces that touched me.
Hmm.
Then I went home after teaching, and I felt the pieces kept ringing in my mind. I couldn't get rid of the images. They were so beautiful, and I couldn't
Yes.
sleep. So the beauty of the show kept me awake, the beauty of the pieces. So I decided, let me write about my feelings about each painting. So I
Hmm.
wrote and wrote and wrote, and then by the time I finished, the birds were calling, the cocks were crowing. It was already morning. So I
Hmm.
said, "Why? I really like that show." And I said, I wonder if I shared my feelings with others, I could
Yes.
inspire them not only to see the show, but also to appreciate what I saw.
Yes.
So I decided, okay, I write a letter to Japan Times and ask them, would you like a journalist that writes like me?
Uh-huh.
Uh, it was the first time I tried that. And
Hmm.
the letter came back and says, yes, we don't have any assignments for you right now, but we'll put you on board. So that's
Yes.
how I became a journalist there. So
Wow.
I reviewed performances from China. I reviewed art exhibitions in museums, mostly on Chinese art.
Okay.
So that was my first journalistic job,
Hmm.
and
Wow.
so then that got me interested in writing. So when I moved to Taiwan after living in Japan, uh, there was this huge show on Buddhist art, all from
Okay.
the Nita collection. He's Taiwanese, but he naturalized to become Japanese because he lived in Japan for so many years. So he collected one of the largest collections of Buddhist sculpture, Chinese
Hmm.
Buddhist sculpture. So when I saw the show, I was so astounded. Again, I couldn't sleep. Again, I started writing. So I wrote to Arts of Asia, and I didn't have that much knowledge on Buddhist art, but they felt that what I wrote was from my heart.
Hmm.
And so they called me to fly to Hong Kong to have an interview. And they actually tested my knowledge on the Buddhist art, which wasn't, I don't think I passed that. But they liked me anyway, and they let me
Yeah.
on board. Then they said the
Yes.
only other thing now is we have to show the article to the collector, and he
Hmm.
must agree to let your article go on. So that was the nervous part. And finally, he agreed, he accepted that they can accept my article. So that's how I started writing for magazines.
Wow. Wow.
Then in Taiwan, I started as as a student. I got a scholarship from Stanford University to study Chinese there. But
Okay.
um, the scholarship wasn't. It was a few $1,000s, and when I moved everything from Japan, I had so many books, And then when I had to pay the deposit for my rental of my apartment, there's there was no money left.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I had to make a living somehow, and I decided to sell some of the knickknacks I have in my collection on the streets of
I
Taipei.
see. Okay.
So I became a street vendor, and
Hmm.
I was very interested at that time to go to China because China just opened its doors in the 18 7 let's see 1970s. I'm saying 18 something. I'm not living in the 19th.
You're an old soul, John.
But then, you know, I decided to visit my relatives in South China, and
Hmm.
lo and behold, the house that my great grandfather built, which was a huge mansion with 200 rooms, still intact. And
Wow.
my cousins brought me around the villages to buy antiques, which I brought back to Taiwan, and they sold like hotcakes. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
I sold on the streets. So one thing led to another. From my street, I started selling from my apartment. From my apartment, I had a small gallery. From my small gallery, I opened one of the biggest antique galleries in Taiwan. And I would get containers in after that of Chinese
Wow.
furniture, art from Tibet, Tibetan furniture. I had an Indian jewelry room, just
Hmm.
specializing in Indian jewelry. I had a room for Burmese lacquer. It was a very interesting gallery because I was introducing a lot of art that Taiwanese never saw from other countries.
Okay.
So I ran that gallery for about 28 years, and I went all around the world giving lectures about art. And then finally, I decided, uh, you know, my interest changed
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
moved to yoga.
Yes,
So
you mentioned that to me. Yes.
when I'm into something, I'm into it 100%. So the business for my gallery went down after September 11 because the market for the art market dropped, and the
Yes.
economy of China slowly grew. So the Chinese were now paying much more money for Chinese art than the Taiwanese. So most of the Taiwanese art dealers, moved to China, and I didn't want to move to China
Hmm.
because I like Taiwan. I stayed in Taiwan, and
Yes.
so business was a bit slow, and that's when I got into Malay textiles.
Hmm.
So I was collecting textiles from Indonesia and China, and
Wow.
a lot of them they're so beautiful, right? But then
Yes.
when I chanced upon Malay textiles, which were also beautiful, and which is one of the reasons that attracted me, I realized the difference between the beauty of Malay textiles and
Hmm.
the beauty of Chinese and Indonesian textiles is that it's undiscovered beauty.
Undiscovered beauty, yes.
So I thought,
I remember mentioning to you that I was part of one of your online talks in 2021.
mm,
It was one of the, it was such an eye-opening, presentation that you did for somebody like me because Malaysia is what I call my entry point to Southeast Asia. Because I've never done this side, this belt, so to say, of the planet, because it's always been the West that I traveled very much with in. So that was like an eye opener for me to understand the depth and the richness of how the entire, so for in my language it is fashion, how all these races and philosophies and art wealth that kind of comes into putting together in the creation of a fabric, in the creation of a piece of art on fabric, right? Completely, it was an eye opener for me, and it was like you just mentioned to me now, so full of depth, and intensity. That was quite inspirational for me. Quite
yeah, you
inspirational for
can tell it. You can tell it from the food and from the mixed marriages.
me.
You see all kinds of mixed marriages in combinations that you never dream of.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
yes,
like, you know,
yes.
how did a Russian who married a Malaysian uh,
Hmm.
have children that marry Brazilians in KL, right? And it does happen. And
Yeah,
so the
yeah.
combination of foods here are also amazing, and the combination of friends you meet.
Correct. Yeah, that is. I think that is the right version of rojak, right? When you are a mix of
Yes.
everything put together, and this
But the
is
thing about that is, at the end of the day, the rojak tastes wonderful.
yes, it tastes wonderful. That is true.
It's not
Yeah,
a bad mix; it's a good mix.
it's a good mix. Yeah, it is a complete good mix. Well, I think I'm one of the examples of rojak, and I'm so proud of it. I'm very very proud of it to understand that that we are so many things and so many cultures and so many genes and chromosomes and bloodlines that come from different parts put together to create this one organism, so to say. And yeah, so when I was reading your profile, you were born and raised in Chicago, and
I was
then
born there but raised in Singapore.
based in Singapore. Okay, so which is again such a, it's two parts of the planet, right? Two different parts of the planets.
Yes. So my American side came from my parents because in
Hmm.
some ways they were very American, and yet in some ways they were very British because they grew up in Singapore. Uh,
Yes.
so the and my dad was Peranakan Chinese, and
Okay.
my mom was Teochew Chinese, and both families kept to their traditions. So when I was young, I bridged Malay, Peranakan, Chinese, American, and English cultures. And
Wow.
I grew up not my early years. I was brought up in my grandmother's house. That house on Orchard Road had 250 people living in it.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned that. Yeah.
It was
Uh,
amazing experience because it was like the dream of the Red Chamber, where you
hmm.
hundreds of servants, you have slaves, even
Yes. Wow.
slaves, all these festivals that happen in the house,
Correct.
birthday parties, they had opera during the birthday party. It was a style of living that you don't see anymore.
Yes. Correct.
Then,
Yeah.
then we moved to the university faculty quarters where my mom was a lecturer um, in the medical department of the University of Singapore. So
Right.
we lived with all the professors from different countries. So I was exposed from young. We went to have pork trotters in my German friend's house. We
Hmm.
go at the park and then we'll go to their house for dinner. I had curry and yogurt in my Indian friend's house. Uh,
Hmm.
Most of my Chinese friends couldn't handle yogurt, right? Those days it was not, they're very traditional in those days. They kept to themselves. But being in
Yes.
that community opened me up to all these cultures. So I,
Yes.
I see the world and people from a broader perspective, I think. Um, so I, I, I think this gives me a kind of a value that um, I have when I go to a foreign country because
Yes.
I accept their
Yeah.
culture more easily.
Yes, I completely kind of second that, and I also resonate because like we were discussing, I think travel is soul expansion, and when you have all these cultural elements that become part of your growing life and your experiences in life, it kind of molds you to become the person that the universe is molding you to be. I'm very much how do you call it, driven by the fact that a higher power knows exactly what it wants from you and kind of helps you and facilitates you, and then it is up to us to make the choices that of course molds who we finally become. So between journalism, being an author and director of the art gallery that you were talking about, which role continues to feed your mission till date?
I think both because when I'm doing this show in this gallery, I'm writing a book as well. So you know, in my book, I talk about the stories that I encounter when I try to look for these textiles. So
Right.
that's also part of journalism. For example, I wanted to study the clothing of the Bugis, the
Mm.
Bisus. Are you
Okay.
familiar with the Bisus?
No, Bisus? No, no, I'm
Okay.
not.
70% of Malaysia are Bugis. Bugis are the
Okay.
people from Makassar in South Sulawesi, right? The
Hmm.
Bugis, they travel overseas to make money and then they go back. But many have settled in this area in Southeast Asia and they assimilated
Okay.
with the Malays. So many of them do not know they're Bugis, like Najib,
Hmm.
he's Bugis, right? And the Bugis people, if you go to Makassar, have they believe in five sexes.
Okay.
They're not just
Okay.
men and women, they're half men, half women too. So
Wow. Yes.
these people are transgenders and they're usually, their jobs are, they work as shamans. They connect to the universe more intimately than other people or more easily than other people.
Hmm.
So,
Wow.
and they dress differently. So I wanted to know what kind of dress they wear.
Hmm.
And I flew over there without knowing any Bisus. I discovered I wanted to, I discovered I needed to do an interview with a Bisu. So
Hmm.
when I landed, I asked my friends, "Can you introduce me a Bisu?" Right? He said,
Right.
"Oh, we know of one." So the appointment was made, and he said he's very busy. And I said, "But he's willing to be interviewed."
Hmm.
So I interviewed him, and after the interview, which was a very interesting interview, but he says, I have to rush. I said, why? He says, we have a very important function tonight. It's in the palace of Bisus, where all the
Oh.
Bisus in the country will gather together and we do a sacred ceremony to the gods, right? It only happens in once in 10 years. And if you
Wow.
like, you can come and watch it. So there was the most amazing experience. It is in the closed doors, right? No one else is allowed, and they had musicians, playing these very loud music and drummers, and the
Hmm.
Beatles one after the other, another would start coming out, and they said, "Oh, this guy, he's 105 years old. This guy, he's 115 years old," and they'll be dancing and poking daggers in their bodies and rolling on the ground in a trance. That was the
Wow.
most amazing journey I had just to find out
Wow.
about this clothing. And I think the universe blessed me because of my curiosity. I was rewarded with a show that would only happen once in 10 years and be invited
Yes.
to it.
Yes.
So
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That sounds amazing.
kind of
Ah.
mind
Wow.
blowing.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever heard of this Bisu ceremony except the
Yes.
Bugis
Correct. Yeah.
themselves. And nobody
Yeah.
else has ever written about it. So
Does it feature anyway in the book that you're writing currently?
yes, I'll write a little bit about it when I talk about Bugis dressing. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
the different types of dressing, and then the when the Bugis men, they don't wear selendams, but the Bisus, they will have a selendang, a shawl, right? And
Hmm.
their hats are half men, half women style. Uh, so, so
Yes.
so their clothing are more like skirts rather than sarongs. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you mentioned, about curiosity. Oh my God, I think curiosity is the pillar of our life. Everything that is happening, happens to us is because, and I also kind of, very deeply feel that it is driven because of our intense curiosity of wanting to know more, wanting to know better, wanting to understand how the world operates around us, and to create that flow of information and experiences, for us and to us, right, John? Yeah,
Yes.
I think, yeah, and I think, Southeast Asia that way has been, is my blessing, I believe, and that is why I feel that the universe has led me to this part of the world to fuel my curiosity to a different level now, because culturally I have never experienced something as rich, and as versatile and as deep as what I see unfolding, in front of me. And I think there's lots more to do. There's lots more to do, and create from this space of curiosity, which brings me to my next question, because I want to understand it from you and your perspective as well. What experience ignited your passion for Malay textiles, and how does it feed the purpose of your soul?
Well, as I
Yeah.
told you, one of the things that attracted me to Malay textiles is not just its beauty, it's its
Mm.
undiscovered beauty. That there's so many things about it that we don't know about.
Yes.
And I'm a pioneer. I'm like a pioneer, walking into a un, unexplored uh, forest,
Magical world. Yeah.
right? And discovering all these exotic orchids that I never saw before. Um,
Mm.
I like you know one adventure I had was I decided one day I got to find who my great great grandfather is. I have a
Okay.
photo of him, but not his name.
Okay.
So I heard from my grand aunt that he comes from Banjarmasin and he used to sell diamonds.
Mm.
So I just took the flight and I went to Banjarmasin.
Okay. Wow.
And I just mentioned to some people on the plane that I wanted to look for my great grandfather, and I showed them the photo, and then they said, "Oh, let us introduce you to the Sultan." So I was
Mm.
brought to his palace, and then he arranged for journalists to come to see me, interview me, and then put the news out so that anyone who has a name resembling mine or surname resembling mine can come up and see if there's a connection.
Yes. Yes.
So the journalist told me, "Oh, aren't you going to the party in Pangkalambun?" Because I was in Banjarmasin. Pangkalambun is in central Kalimantan, which is
Okay.
deep in the jungle area, right? So I said, "What party?" They said, "The royal party. Maybe you can find people who might know your great great grandfather because he's someone of note."
Mm.
So I called, and they said, "What kingdom do you belong to?" I said, "I don't
Wow.
belong to any kingdom." He said, "Are you royalty?" I said, "No." "Oh, sorry, only royalties are allowed. You're not invited." So
Okay.
I couldn't get an invitation. I decided to gate crash.
Mm.
Oh, that was the
Good
biggest.
choice.
Then I never regretted that step because when I went to that party, I saw everyone in their regalia. They were all dressed like kings and queens because Indonesia has given them money, all the old sultans, to
Yes.
revive the culture.
Mm.
And the performances that they put on was amazing. You had all the dances. I never knew all these kingdoms that
Yeah.
existed.
Wow.
So, um, that keeps me going in this area. And it's like I feel it's a mission that is supported by the universe
Yes. Yes.
because how then would I have all these opportunities? A lot
Correct.
of my friends have to work, have to do this, have to do that. They have no time to travel like I can. Um, you
Yes.
know, so because I went to look for my great grandfather, and then somebody tells me there's a party going on. If I didn't have the time,
Mm.
I wouldn't have been able to go.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so every year, every 2 years, I get invited to these royal parties in a different part of the Nusantara. So
Wow.
I visited the five palaces of Cirebon. I visited, the palace of Jogja. I've seen all these interesting and met all these interesting people, and
Mm-hmm.
and they tell me about their culture. So that
Right.
feeds into my knowledge on my textiles as well,
Correct.
because a lot of it is not unwritten. So the fact that it's unwritten makes me very curious and excited. Oh,
Mm.
I'm the first one who's going to write about it, and I'm the first one who can show people that how they are connected, and
Yes.
that's the
Correct.
thing, connection.
Yeah.
Knowing that certain groups of people that live so far away are connected.
Hmm.
Uh, Somehow they are connected. For example, have you heard of the Cham people
The charm people? No, I don't. I'm
from
afraid
Champa?
I haven't.
From Champa, they lived in the coast of Vietnam, and it's a small kingdom. They became so strong they conquered. They actually defeated Cambodia during the Angkor Wat period. So they're a
Oh,
very
okay.
strong kingdom.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I realized that their textiles relate to the textiles of North Sumatra, which is so
Oh,
far.
yes.
Then I found out that they were connected by a port in Vietnam, a port city called
Wow.
Dien. So all these stories, right? Um,
Yes.
all these discoveries make me excited about the collecting. It's just not
Yes.
stuff alone.
Yeah,
So
I think you're like a walking library actually, and the gate crashing I think was the best decision to make
and they
because look at
welcomed me. They didn't know who I
yeah,
was. I said I'm a textile collector. I'm interested in your textiles. They
yes.
welcomed.
Yes, correct. Yeah, because kindred spirits, John, just find themselves, find each other too. No matter which part of the world you are, like we were saying, the universe just conspires to make things happen when you are aligned to it. And that is why. As I was saying, and which your experiences have been so vast and so rich. You have to share this, with the wider world because you never know, whose journey you also trigger to happen. And whose hearts we also kind of touch in the conversations that we put out. So being so widely traveled, which three best experiences would you say have molded your reason to do what you do?
Three experiences.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
I told you a
I'm sure
few
the gate.
already.
I'm sure the gate crashing was one of them.
Yes, that's one. Another one is about my first textile that I
Hmm.
bought. I was offered it and I didn't pay much attention to it because I was
Okay.
very busy then. So I left it at that. And it was only 2 months later, I looked at my phone again and I saw the picture and I said, oh, what a very special textile. Because
Yes.
it relates to my Cambodian textiles, but it comes from Sumatra in the Malay region.
Hmm.
How come
Hmm.
the pattern is the same? So I decided I'll spend the money and go for it. But the textile got sold.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
2 months later, they said they found it again, but it's
Wow.
double the price. I still
Wow.
bought it anyway.
Hmm.
So the special characteristic about this textile, it has a double green line on its border.
Okay.
Then I
Okay.
found that the textiles that I have that are double green line are from Cambodia.
Hmm.
So Cambodia and Sumatra are so far apart.
Yes.
How did they relate? So that led me to do research on Cambodian textiles.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
I
Awesome.
realized that the textiles uh, show me that there were Cambodians in Anambas and Natuna.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I had no idea where Anambas and Natuna are. But they're just
Hmm.
across the sea from Pahang.
Okay.
And a lot of Chan people settled there and then traded with Pontianak, which had textiles that were similar. So I
Hmm.
traveled
Hmm.
to Pontianak. But I'm just saying, you know, the double green line led me to travel to all these countries.
Correct. Yeah.
So
That's
that's
right.
another experience that um, brought me to decide that this is my mission. This is
Hmm.
what I should do. Um, I think one of the things that help you determine that what you do is what the universe wants
Yes.
is
Correct.
when you do it.
Yes.
There's a certain joy that's undescribable.
Yes, absolutely correct. And
Is that
on
right?
that note, yeah, you're absolutely correct because, like you were discussing also, you know, the universe already has a greater plan, and
Yes.
we all align with it at some point or the other. I believe it is so important to listen to that call because, like I was also kind of sharing with you, and I know this from the energy that we are both sharing. Also, you are also very driven by intuition, and being very intuitive, and I think that that gift is what drives our curiosity, because I'm also intensely curious for different experiences and information and knowledge, to be the student for the rest of my life. And so are you, John, I feel. And we have, you know Dr. Hugh, who was just joined in, to also kind of join in our conversation. who I believe is also, you know, I believe the universe has led me to him and to us meeting also, because we have such a beautiful, professional partnership that has taken all our conversations of heart to heart steady for the last, I think, a year now. Because we're in season two, so let me also get him online and introduce, him to you and you to him. So let me just get Dr. Hugh online. Dr. Hugh, I am so glad you are joining us today.
Hi, hi, John. Hi,
Hello.
Ethel. Yeah, glad
Hi.
to join you again today.
Yes. So I'm not too sure that whether you've met John Ang before, and I don't think John has met Dr. Hugh, medical
No, I don't.
director.
I don't think so. You look familiar. You look very Chinese, very Asian, but I'm not sure whether we met before. I did study in Singapore as well. I studied in Raffles Institution and Raffles Junior College. So I was 4 years in Singapore. I also did a quite a nomadic tour of the world. I studied in Ireland and then worked in the UK, and then I came back to Malaysia. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah, and it's a very interesting conversation today. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think between the three of us, the element that binds us is the element of curiosity, because we all three are intensely curious about everything around life, and what we want to create, add, learn. Our love, passionate love for travel, because Dr. Hugh, you've been around everywhere too. Our love for food, and we will talk about that a little later too. And I think as professionals, what we want to contribute to the larger context of the world, and the legacy that we want to create. So Dr. Hugh, as I was telling, mentioned, I think to John as well, is the medical director of one of Malaysia's very leading, pioneering aesthetic institution. And the Mac Clinic has been in the forefront of actually, introducing so many different types of life-changing, beauty treatments. And Dr. Hughes is very compassionate with what he does, and how he's also molded and changed, and I think added so much of value to the life of his own patients and clients too. Yeah. So the universe has brought us together. I think there's no doubt about that. Right. So, Dr. Q, what is the latest that is happening with the Mac Clinic? Because I know that kind of besides the treatments that are happening, you have some new plans that are also unfolding very soon. How soon can we see that?
Yeah, I think you're probably referring to the new clinic that we're going to open in Ampang. It's in
That's
Great
correct.
Eastern Mall. So I don't know for the listeners out there. Yeah, Ampang is an interesting place. It's very close to KL, right next to almost 5 minutes drive from KLCC, and we're going to open a new clinic there, and it's going to have all the many of the machines that we have. Other clinics, other two clinics in Bangsa,
Hmm.
and it's well, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see people and consult and give advice, and where it's needed we do treatments.
Correct.
And it's going to be great because I think Great Eastern Mall is a very interesting place. It's a place very much similar to BSC in Bangsa, where
Hmm.
you have got very specific shops that people go to, and people go there for a specific purpose, and it's interesting. It's a very nice crowd. So we're going to be there and open soon.
Yes.
Watch out for maybe our opening sometime in the coming months. But it should be very soon.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be very soon, right? Yeah, because I'm also
yeah.
looking forward to it, and I've been kind of doing a little bit of reading, generally, because we're in the same kind of world that is so people driven. Um, we know that beauty, as we keep saying, is no longer just a physical, extension of who we are. It's very much from deep within it. But the latest buzz is that Tom Cruise also has done a lot of work on himself, and I was like, hey, okay, and kind of. I really kind of sat down to scrutinize and read about, because of course there are different doctors who are kind of breaking down the new Tom Cruise look, so to say, which kind of also got me very intrigued, because why not, right? Heck, why not? Why shouldn't why shouldn't just Tom Cruise opt for to better himself or upgrade himself? And I know that a lot of men in Malaysia as well are very beauty driven because I'm kind of seeing this the more that I'm out, in stores exploring. In the same aisles that I'm looking for are also men looking for serums and stuff, and I'm like, I will kind of open up a conversation with with a guy, quite in his 30s, saying, how would this serum kind of function on male skin and stuff like that. So I think. And I'm sure you agree that you also see this huge upsurge, in men wanting to look better, more holistically, fuller, and yeah, you get what I'm
Yeah, and I
saying.
think beauty is of course holistic, and it has to come from inside as well. And then you mentioned Tom Cruise. Well,
Yeah.
he's got a different level of energy. You can see he's very exuberant. He's doing everything
Yes.
with gusto, and then
Yeah.
it carries on. It's been carrying on until so many years, and now right with Top Gun premiere, right?
Correct.
He's flown the fighter jets himself. He does acrobatics in the air. And at
Mm.
his age,
He just
and
turned
doing all the
60. He
upside
just
down
turned
movements and
60.
all it, it's a whole it's a whole different level. Yeah, I'm sure he also takes care of his skin and his appearance as well, because that's what sells him.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see, of course, the differences in his age compared to the first Top Gun movie.
Right.
And you can actually see we can actually see the aging process. But yeah, it's been great for him. He has not aged badly at all, unlike many
Mm.
of the other actors.
Mm.
For example, like Iceman, right? Yeah. What's the actor's name again?
Uh,
Yeah, the
Iceman.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
in Top Gun, yeah. So he aged a
Oh,
lot,
okay, okay. Yes. Yeah.
whereas
Yeah.
Tom Cruise has not.
Well, no,
And I think
well,
it's
well climber.
because of this energy that Tom Cruise has, where he
Yes.
actually continues to learn, continue to better and improve himself, and even just maintain what the energy he had when he was younger. And
Mm.
when you say about meeting people and men who are actually also looking at improving their looks and all that, yeah, I'm sure. I think there's more knowledge now, and there's less taboo about men
Yes.
going into looking at beauty products and beauty treatments. And yeah, of course, we do see that in our clinic. In fact, one of our ambassadors is uh, Dr. Sheikh Muzaffar, and he's the first Malaysian astronaut, as you know, and probably
Mm.
first and only Malaysian astronaut at the moment. And he has been liking and really enjoying the treatments that we've actually offered to him.
Okay.
And he's a family man. He goes around because he wants to maintain his appearance as well, because he gives a lot of talks to
Correct.
inspire school children. And he goes around also on business meetings, and he wants to look good. So he's found that that it's actually very acceptable to do these kind of things, to maintain and groom
Yeah.
yourself well, and to look your best when you go
Correct.
out. So I think
Yeah.
this taboo thing about men having using beauty products or doing beauty kind of treatments, it shouldn't be too much of a problem nowadays, as
Mm.
there's more knowledge is out there about
Yes.
what can be done. And it doesn't have to be invasive. It doesn't have to change your appearance. It doesn't have to change. It doesn't have you don't have to distort anything or
Correct.
modify anything or enhance anything. But you
Correct.
can, just like Tom Cruise, you can
Yes.
age, but age by slowing down the aging process, you can actually maintain a very good appearance throughout
Yes.
time.
And I think as women, and I'm sure John also will agree, we like well-rounded personalities, or well-rounded men who are not just great in the looks department, but also intellectually, spiritually, in terms of their energy, in terms of what they also contribute to the world in a very larger context, because women also very, of course, upgrading themselves very fast. And thank you for what you do, because you also, I think, kind of add to some sort of confidence level as well, for them to, you know, become better, greater, and um, and become better partners too, I'm sure. Talk to you. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks,
Uh,
Atul.
Yes, and I'm sure at some point of time, let us also get John to meet you in a physical space, because John has this exciting kind of event that is happening very soon in this month itself, and it's always great. You love to meet people, I love to meet people, to also kind of see
Of
what
course.
different individuals kind of
Yeah.
can contribute to each other. So John, we have a
Yeah,
meeting.
I'm really enjoying the conversation between you and John about all the textiles and all his interesting experiences in travels. because
Yes.
I never knew that I would enjoy traveling, but I was given also the opportunity to travel because of all these conferences I have to do with my industry, with all these new advances and all that. And
Yes.
it's been very interesting, and yeah, I look forward to hearing more of the conversation between you and John.
Awesome. Correct. Awesome. And on that note, Dr. Hugh, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
And as I said, it's always great having you, and I'm grateful to the kind of partnership that we have. It's blossomed, what I do in so many different ways, and it's thanks to you.
Thank you, Ethel.
Thank you so much. I'm going to see you soon, Dr. Hugh.
All right, all right, all right. See you, John.
See you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye
Right.
bye.
Bye.
It's always great to have Dr. Hugh join us. So wherever that he's on a Sunday, he makes it a point to get onto the conversation and contribute what he can to the heart to heart format. So John, yes, since we mentioned your book, which is coming up soon. I think in 2023, right? You have a new book
Yes.
that is going to be launched. Can you tell my audiences what the book is all about? In a short kind of short summarized kind of manner.
Well, it's about 12 different categories of Malay textiles, which
Okay,
I
12.
believe represents the whole genre. Nobody has done all 12. I mean, there are
Hmm.
books, Malay textiles, that deal with one or two or at the most three, but not. And if they deal with a lot in general, they are very general. So it's not
Okay.
deep. So it's more like an encyclopedia of what Malay textiles is. Um, and in that, I want to also present some new inroads on the connections and the things that I discovered, because a
Okay.
lot of the research that has gone on in Malay textiles is repeated and repeated. There's nothing really new about it. So I'm hoping to generate something new and stir some interest, and
Yes.
eventually that this book can become a cultural archival repository, because it's really not in the system or the habit of Malay people to record their history.
Hmm.
It's taken for
Hmm.
granted. The Chinese
Hmm.
record their history a lot. There's good and bad about it, but because you don't record, when you want to refer back, uh,
Yes.
like you want to see who has discovered this. There's no
Correct.
record. You do your experiments and you discover something and you think it's new, but actually someone else has already discovered it. So
Yes.
you build on what you already have rather than, you know, try to figure out things that have already been figured out.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I kind of want to use let this book become an archival repository where designers, creators, architects, musicians, or any creative person can fall back on if they want to continue with the evolution in participating with the evolution of Malay culture. It's something valuable for them. So that's what
Wow.
I'm looking for with this book.
Correct. Also, I think, as because we are also deeply associated with fashion, and fashion is nothing but record keeping. I look at it, as a
Exactly.
fashion journalist. Yes, correct.
Exactly.
I think this can be such a referral point for them as well, because I think every young person needs to understand their roots, where they come from, do a little bit of do a little bit of investment, I say, about understanding a little bit of their heritage, a little bit of their own family legacy, because we are, what are we, I think we are all extensions of the same genetic pool, right, in a very
Yeah.
upgraded form. I think every generation is upgrades itself to kind of take this information forward, right, in that way. No, I think I believe so, because we're all uh, old souls, whether we admit it or not, or whether we wake up to that reality or not. To kind of take that kind of piece of information or that thread of information forward, so that with the hope of passing it on to the next generation. Um, which leads me to understand from you, John. I love this conversation. I think we can just talk for hours together. Share with me and share with my audience your mantra on living passionately, purposefully, and creating your legacy. I think it is so vital today for each one of us.
My mantra would be to believe in the universe.
Mm,
Um,
beautifully said.
and what does that mean? You know, if you climb a mountain and you don't get to the top,
Mm,
you feel you have not succeeded.
mm,
But if you think that the universe is in charge, you won't feel like you have not succeeded. You feel that the universe didn't want you to climb the mountain to the top.
yeah. Okay.
So you
Yes.
don't feel so bad. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So you begin to accept all the things that happen in your life,
Correct.
even the bad things. And
The
for the
good and the
good
bad. The good and the bad. Yes.
and
Because
for
they're
the
all
good
experiences and lessons. Yeah.
and for the good things is never from your own effort. It's
Mm,
your effort with the support of the universe.
mm.
So
Correct.
with that concept, you're humble. You're more humble than thinking my achievement is all for myself.
Yes.
Like this exhibition of mine, right? I was doing it all by myself.
Hmm.
And when people saw my postings on Facebook, they sent me messages and said, John, do you need help? And I said,
Yes.
I do. And they come to my rescue. And I think
Hmm.
these people were sent by the universe.
Yes.
I didn't call for them, they came. And they,
Yes.
they remained loyal despite my being dissatisfied with the level of work they gave me.
Hmm.
I can't believe I was dissatisfied, right? Whatever they gave me, I should be satisfied. But when they don't do things right, I get a little bit, upset. And they still come.
Yeah.
They still take it and they still come. So I'm so touched, right? I'm so touched that the universe has done this.
Hmm.
And uh, really good people, really kind people. I set up a docent class. Docents are the tour guides for my exhibition,
Okay. Okay.
and I was buying cakes and for the tea because they came voluntarily. I don't pay them, so I bring them cakes and things like that. And the next
Lovely.
thing, they took turns bringing the cakes.
Okay.
So there's also a lot of compassion in this. It's
Hmm.
not nothing is selfish. People are trying to share. People understand, and the jobs that they help me with are not like glorified jobs. They're helping me sweep the gallery. You
Hmm.
know, they're helping me iron the clothes. All these things that these menial jobs that I have to do myself.
Yes.
They relieved me of it, so I can
Correct.
concentrate on doing the installation. So
Yeah.
I'm just you know my belief this belief in that universe, it's really helpful.
Correct. What do you think would be the legacy that you are aiming to leave behind, John?
I can't hear you, sorry.
I said, what is the your true legacy that you are aiming to leave behind?
Okay, what I've done is I put together all these textiles together.
Hmm.
Through my research, I build the story, I hear the story, and they become evidence that these stories are authentic and accurate.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Without
It's
that, the
record
story
keeping,
breaks, right?
like
So these
creating a
are the
record. Yeah.
stories that are my legacy. Eventually, the
Mm.
textiles will dissipate and go away, but the stories remain. So that's my legacy, I think, to leave the story.
Yes.
And
Wow.
also, um, you know, when you have, when you don't know your assets,
Yeah.
you don't know how powerful you can become. If
Yes.
you know all your bank accounts, you know what to invest in, you know
Mm.
how to grow and develop from there. So if
Mm.
you don't know your cultural assets,
Mm.
your country is much weaker in the fact that you don't know your identity.
Mm.
But when you know your assets, it builds on your identity. It tells you who you
Yes.
really are.
Yes.
Because of that, you gain confidence, you can go on. So it empowers you, right?
Yes.
So
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
why are why are Chinese people so overconfident sometimes? I mean, sometimes they think that the country is called Zhongguo, right? Central Kingdom. So
Correct.
they have this ethnocentric uh, thing about them that they think they are superior to everyone, and because they their history is 5,000 years and it's all recorded, it's all
Yes.
written down. They are very sure of what they've achieved and what they can achieve. So I
Correct.
think most cultures can learn. Every culture is different, but when you
Yes.
record it and you leave your legacy, that legacy will help you go on to the next generation. So
Yes.
these legacies that we are building are important.
So rightly said. So rightly said. And I must, also kind of mention here that there was this lovely article I read on Vogue Business about how, since we are on the topic of textiles and heritage and legacy, creating and record keeping, is how India is actually contributing to the rich, textile and handicraft to the globe now, because. Most of the designers are now reaching out to India, to create all the fashion kind of, richness that you see,
Exactly.
right, in terms of, fabric, textile, embroidery, all that, which is also record keeping, as we say. And this article that I read in Vogue Business actually celebrated the fact that Indian handicraft and Indian textiles and Indian, kind of artisans were adding so much value globally, with the depth of what it has. And I kind of, paused and I said, wow, this is exactly what, each country, when they, like how you said, when they identify, what their wealth is, right? Whether it's national wealth, the cultural wealth, whether it's their food wealth, and records it so that you can go back, trace their history, and that can add so much value to a larger global context. Yeah, you're right, John. Absolutely right there. And
So you speak of India and Indian textiles, right?
yes.
So when you talk about patola, patola is a double E cut. Most nobody really can make it. Only two other places, Bali and Japan, can make it, right?
Hmm,
So
hmm.
Indians know it. They're so proud of their patolas because they are one of the few. Actually, they started it, right? That's
Right.
it's the most difficult to weave because the warp and the weft e-cuts are woven first before the pattern comes out, and they got to
Huh.
match it. So it's really difficult to do, right? And India is the
Yes.
only one that can really do it very well. So they're proud
Yes.
of it because they know it. But the
Hmm.
Malays also have their own techniques that only they can do,
Yes,
but they
correct.
don't know it. They
Yeah.
don't know it.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely
so much
right.
that they have that no one else can do. But if
Yeah.
they know it, there's so much to be proud of.
Correct. And since we are on India, what we should probably do is a textile tour, which probably we can see whether the embassy can help us in kind of putting it all together. I must also give a very big shout out to one of my favorite designers in India. In India, is young, he's youthful, and he's much celebrated on Paris Fashion Week and Couture Week. Is Rahul Mishra. I don't know if you've seen his work. Beautiful, because what he's actually doing is taking all the traditional, handicrafts, bringing all the artisans, together, and creating such beautiful, very 21st century interpretation to fashion, using all the wealth that could probably kind of disappear. If opportunity provides, John, I would love to bring him to Malaysia and introduce his work, in this country as well. Which brings us to almost the show getting over. See, I remember telling you that 60 minutes will just fly in us talking. Because it's such a joy for me to understand so much and learn so much from you tonight. What is the greatest gift, John? From I would like to know from you that we can give to ourselves during our time on Earth. And I hope this question inspires a lot of my listeners and audiences, whoever they are, wherever they are, that who will listen to this heart-to-heart conversation.
I think the greatest reward is to the understanding that the process has to be enjoyed.
The process has to be enjoyed.
You know,
Okay.
you can climb the mountain and reach the
Hmm.
top, and you can
Yes.
celebrate your success.
Yes.
But if you climb the mountain without enjoying the scenery, without taking a short break and having your
Hmm.
coffee and communicating with friends, the journey becomes very lonely and very dry.
Hmm.
You know, but when you make jokes during your work, make it fun and not so stressful. You know, you still know you have to achieve your goal, but you know, the fact that you know the universe is supporting you helps you break that tension and helps you
Yes.
enjoy that process. I think this is the gift. The knowledge and awareness of that process is the gift.
The
Um,
journey. The journey
the,
of it all.
the joy of the journey is the gift. Many
Yeah.
people don't understand that the journey has to be a joy. That's why you're
Hmm.
doing it.
Yeah.
If
The
you're
journey
just
has to be
doing
a
it
joy.
to achieve,
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
if you're doing it just to achieve the goal is not the gift. You
Hmm.
miss the point. The gift is the process.
Yeah. The
Like
gift is the
in yoga,
process.
right? We're doing a difficult pose, and people concentrate on the achievement of the pose.
Yes.
But that's not yoga. If that's the achievement of the pose, that's exercise. But in the
Hmm.
process, you learn how to be patient with yourself. You know how to laugh at yourself for falling down. You know
Hmm.
how to look after yourself from an injury.
Yes.
That's the yoga. That's the gift.
Yeah. Not to take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
the
It is.
gift.
Yeah, not yeah. It is okay to be wrong. It is okay to be making mistakes. It is okay to be continuously learning from
That
everything that
that
we see.
realization is the gift.
Yeah, yeah. Where life happens not to you, happens for you. I think I found liberation in that. When I understood that life happens for you, right? Yeah, not life happens to you, it happens for you. And I was like, wow, we get so focused on reaching, like you said, to the mountaintop, that you kind of lose attention on the process and the journey of reaching that mountaintop. And in that, I think, is the essence of living. Yeah, yeah. John, beautiful. I love this conversation. I love the fact that you made time for me tonight, to be on Heart to Heart today. Um, I love how the universe, look at the timing. I love how the universe timed it. Though I met you online last year during the pandemic, correct? But you were always there, somewhere, in the periphery of my conscious, that I had to, have this conversation with you, because a mutual friend, kind of connected the two of us, and it just the right timing that you have your own book and your own thing that is going to happen very soon in July. Thank you for the invitation to invite me for it and to witness it. I'm so glad that we are both intensely curious journalists, record keepers, and curious cats, which is beautiful, right? To live the journey that we're living, and to kind of fully trust in the universe that it is leading us to our highest purpose. John, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for inviting me. Yes.
thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Namaste.
Namaste. Yes, and please share this conversation with your friends and audiences as well. Let this conversation touch many hearts with the work that you have done, with the stories of your journey. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person very soon. Because I think we can have beautiful conversations over food as well. Because you were just saying we should go to Taipei, and experience food there too. So I'm looking forward to this, John. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, have a great
Goodbye.
week that is coming up, and look forward to meet you very soon.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Good night. This was such a beautiful conversation, and I'm so glad that that the universe made it happen just at the right time, that it was made to meant to happen. I'm so glad that there are so many similar kind of stories that resonate and brings me to meet people that I would never expect to meet in my life. And for that, I want to urge you, my dear reader, listener, and kindred spirits everywhere, to always keep an open heart and open mind, because the universe is constantly trying to teach us to upgrade ourselves, to become better, to help us in making choices, conscious choices that will support our growth, our spiritual growth, to lead us to creating great karma for ourselves. So let us do it consciously. Let us understand that how we can be better than our weaknesses, of ego as well. How to also tame and temper it. How to be in a heart space, and how to enjoy the process and the journey of where our life is taking us. Because everything is temporary. Our time on this planet is also temporary, but we can create and aid and help build the legacy that we want to leave behind. So, on this note, thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful conversation, heart to heart conversation with John Ang. And look out for his work. He's very well known in Malaysia for whatever that he's creating, very passionately, that he puts together, singular minded, that he, kind of creates. And share this video, share this conversation with friends and acquaintances, so that we can help mold lives. A great thank you to the Mac Clinic again for being a part of my heart to heart conversations Sunday on Sunday, because to kind of make the differences that we do with the stories that we tell. So good night. Have a great, blessed week that is coming up. Stay healthy, stay positive, and let the universe guide you and me to create great change while we are here. Good night, and see you next Sunday.
Hey guys, welcome to the Mac Clinic. We've spoken about picos, we've done Botox, we've talked about fillers, but today we have something special lined up for you. We are about to showcase the XLV by Cutera, which is a long pulse laser, and we have a very special guest with us today. Come on. So here we are preparing the XLV laser, but I did mention that we have a special guest. So here she is, Dr. Ong. Say hi, Ong. The award-winning XLV laser by Cutera is a state-of-the-art long pulse laser from the United States. It is best in class for vascular lesions and is used by famous models such as Kendall Jenner. It is multifunctional and tones, rejuvenates as well as lifts with virtually no downtime. It is a walk-in, walk-out treatment done in less than 15 minutes. Comfortable and perfect for those busy days. And to top it all off, the Mac Clinic owns the only working XLV laser in Malaysia. So, we just finished with the Cutera XLV Laser Genesis. So Dr. Ong, that took about how long?
About 15 to 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty quick lunchtime procedure, I would say.
Was there any discomfort at all for you?
To be honest, I only felt slightly warm. Other than that, it was relatively comfortable. And I would also like to add on that actually it is a very quick, effective and hassle-free laser treatment, as you don't need prior numbing, and it only takes about 15 to 20 minutes and then you're good to go.
So there you go, the XLV Laser Genesis. Available only at your favorite clinic, the Mac Clinic.